Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. Hello, and welcome to Know Before You Go, a program of the Dominican Central Province of St. Albert the Great that allows us to take a look ahead at the upcoming weekend's readings. I am Father Jim Marchionda, Provincial of the Chicago Dominicans, and I am very happy to be able to join you for Easter Sunday, 2022. We have great readings today from the Acts of the Apostles, from either Paul's letter to the Colossians or the Corinthians, and from the Gospel of John. Before I get into them, though, I would like to share a little reflection from a very good Lutheran pastor friend of mine. He sent this yesterday, telling me about Easter in Ukraine. It was actually composed by Bob Seitz, who says, "Soon it will be Easter in Ukraine. It's hard to think much beyond how can that happen this year? The country lies in ruins, made desolate by the warring mind of a desperate Russian dictator. Death is strewn across the landscape in ways that perhaps stagger Ukrainians' comprehension. Resurrection's victory squeezes into a smaller mindset, perhaps even too small for imagination or hope. Reality evades words, even those that are holy. Survival is not assured. The traditional messages of Easter may be crushed or pulverized into seemingly meaningless ideals. And yet," he says, "in God's time and God's ways, there is always and yet." He says that because every life is now precious beyond description, what these fellow believers will celebrate is life itself. In small ways beyond our knowing, God's people in Ukraine will find small joys, small hopes, small victories. With almost every vestige of normal life destroyed, these citizens of God's kingdom will begin rebuilding their churches, villages, and nation. God's work in Ukraine will continue, made real by how each of us who share our faith and our humanity with Ukrainians steps into caring and helping tasks that bring life, into roles that offer restoration, resurrection by another name. I so appreciate that, and I find myself wanting to celebrate Easter this year in the context of solidarity with the people of Ukraine who are going through hell on earth. And yet Easter is here. There is always an and yet. God is somehow present and will be victorious even over this insanity. That's what the Easter promise is. Today's gospel from St. John, we have Mary Magdalene going to the tomb early in the morning and seeing the stone rolled away. In her fear, her fright, she immediately runs off to Peter and John. They race to the tomb. They see too that it is empty and the burial cloths are just lying there. There's no answer to what has happened. There is no resurrection appearance. There is no great assurance. There is just the beginning of some sort of faith in the mystery that something magnificent might be happening. It is so great. The emptiness itself is so full of power that we then hear in the Acts of the Apostles, the first reading, Peter boldly proclaiming the resurrection of Jesus Christ. standing there boldly talking about his faith in this wonderful man whom he loved and whom he followed. We experience Peter, who goes from fright in his life to fearlessness, who goes from cowardliness to courage, who goes from bumbling mistakes to boldness, all because of his belief in Jesus. What a wonderful, wonderful example, once again, that Peter demonstrates for us that we are never defined by our faults. We are never defined by our flaws. I have preached that before, and Peter is living proof of that. We know the mistakes he made, and we hear him today. Even after going to an empty tomb, we hear him today preaching the power of the resurrection and that it can make a difference even among the horrible things that happen in our world and happen in our life. One of the optional second readings is from St. Paul's letter to the Colossians, where he tells the Colossians and us, seek what is above. Never let anything down here drag you down. Keep seeking what is above. Do not seek the things of the earth. Don't look for all the answers to the horrors of the earth in the earth. Seek what is above and keep letting what is above direct you. Keep letting what is above guide you and bring you into a deeper understanding that God is with you every step of the way, no matter your suffering. No matter our suffering, no matter the world's suffering. Somehow, the mystery of God is that only God will have the last word on death, even when we are suffering death every day. In the end, still, only God will have the last word on death. As I watch the news on Ukraine, as I suffer in solidarity with them and with all my brothers and sisters who are suffering the insanity of this war, I realize that the people of Ukraine themselves are giving us a lesson of hope. The people of Ukraine themselves, in their horrible suffering, are standing tall. And my friends, on this Easter, let us stand tall with them. Let us muster all the faith and hope we need to cling to the resurrection and its meaning in our lives. And let us be so empowered by the resurrection of Jesus Christ that you and I will stand tall with the Ukrainians and do whatever we can to make a difference in that terrible war. The Lord is risen. He is risen to life, and the Lord wishes us to rise with him. Happy Easter to you and to your families.